Hello students, this is our topic is trade on trade of India from the subject of international marketing environment. This is a part of fifth unit. Uh, a review of Indian foreign trade since the commencement of planning reveal some important points. Let's check these highlights. India's both export and import has grown considerably, except for some between 2 3 years in 1972 and 77. There is a export is more than import. But other than that, since 1951, imports were larger than export always for India. Until about the mid 1980s, the export performance of India was very much poor in comparison with the other developing countries. In general, it was very poor even in comparison with the several developing countries. This is clear from some facts that in 1950 export fell from 2% in 1950 to 0.4% in 1980, sorry. Since the mid 80s, there has been, however, been some improvement. Then later on, India was 30th largest exporter in 1950, but her rank was only 31st in 2000. Later on, India improved significantly and it reached up to 19th rank in some recent year, and after latest it was again improved very drastically. India's merchant export as a percentage of GDP has been stagnating around 5%. There has been marked after liberalization, there has been marked improvement in India's total merchandise trade. Merchandise trade is what? Export plus import ratio to GDP from about 22% in 2001 to 44% in 2014. That is the impact of liberalization. During 2010 to 2012, export of India grew up at a compounding rate of 17.6% to the average of 13.8% of for developing economies and 9.1% of the world. So that is a very significant development. Basically, the term trade have on the whole been favorable to India, although there has been deterioration in the number of years. There has been very significant change in the composition of India's export. Manufactured product increased their share sustainability. Prior to 1980s, there was very less manufacturing industries in India, but now India also improved in manufacturing sector and came to account for over 3/4 of the export as against to the dominance of primary commodities in the early period. However, in the last decade, the share of manufacturers declined consequent to the large increase in the share of petroleum products. There has been significant changes in the direction, that is the source of imports and destination of exports of India's foreign trade. We are open for a number of countries and we are now trading with number of countries. So this is the opening of new ways, or we can say new routes for India's foreign trade. The export import ratio has been very poor for India because our dependency is too much huge on the uh, import for the technological development, for manufacturing industry, for service industry, for petroleum products. So these are the dependency of India, and we support to that for export. We are still depend on only primary goods, right? We are not improved as much as for exporting the our Indian products. We can see later on what are the factors. The services exports perform has been by and large impressive because one of the basic reason behind this is what? That is the IT sector. IT sector of India is giving a huge service to the whole world. India has been enjoying a surplus on service trade compared to the huge merchandise trade deficit. IT sector, tourism, it is these are the examples of service industry, right? So, what are the determinants? Let us check what are the determinants of exports. Analysis of empirical data reveals that India's export performance is affected by the certain important factors. These external factors are the rate of growth of the economies of the uh, importing countries, the rate of growth of the world trade, the rate of change in the price level of importing countries. These are the external factors. The most favorable condition for the growth of the Indian export is a combination of the high growth rate for all three external factors. Right? In that situation, India can improve very uh, uh, dramatically. A high growth rate, which with price stability for the Indian economy and a fall in the real exchange rate of export, that will be good. What I can say, combination of development for India. We have it shows that how we are depending on various factors for the at the time of exports. If some of the above conditions are satisfied and other conditions are not favorable, the export performance should be expected to be determined by the real strength of the favorable and unfavorable factors. Right? There are some internal factors: the rate of growth of Indian economy, the rate of change in the domestic price level. The rate of growth of Indian economy, obviously, you can see that India is the only country in the world which is growing at a which was growing at a 7%, but now after COVID, it is also struggling to have in a positive growth rate. The rate of change in the domestic price level, that is also now affected because of this COVID-19. So overall world hampered because of this. So these are the determinants of exports. And what are the determinants of imports? Besides imports regulation, the import factor which determines the volume of Indian imports are the rate of growth of the Indian economy. You can see here, high rate of growth is associated with the rise in imports. If because that is the rule in India, because India is totally depending for the technology in on uh, various technological development. So when there is a demand in India, automatically import will also increase. So proportionate to that, export is not increase in India. That's the problem of India, right? The relative price of import, that is the relative change in the price of import and domestic goods, and increase in the imports is associated with the fall in the relativity of price of imports. So these are the factors which affect export and import in Indian economy. So I hope from this video you will understand the basic of trade, basically foreign trade, where import and export is concerned of India. You it will give a basic idea about the foreign trade of the India.